Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm the Reverend Jamelia Omar, and I'm honored to serve as the minister here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson. We don't usually start this way. We don't start our services with an introduction, but today's service is special and requires some context for it. So, for 2 years now, UUCT has been proud to be a sponsor of the public worship that our National Black, Indigenous, and People of Color Caucus has offered to the denomination. Shortened DRUM, Diverse and Revolutionary UU Multicultural Ministries, yes, there's 2 U's and 2 M's in DRUM, is UU's oldest caucus space for BIPOC UUs and friends. This year's public worship is titled, We Ride at Dawn, Showing Up No Matter What. It was led by DRUM's Swana Arab Caucus and Reverend Summer Albayati. You will see her quite a bit today. She is a Muslim Unitarian Universalist, minister, drummer, and national leader whose ministry weaves music, justice, and spiritual belonging. And you will see that when she begins. The music minister that you'll see up here a couple times is Reverend Vertus Robinson, an African-American minister, musician, whose work draws on sacred Black traditions. So this is a service planned by BIPOC UUs for all UUs, with the goal of reminding us that my liberation is tied to your liberation. So the prelude this morning, which we're about to get into, is a musical rendition of Al-Fatiha, the first chapter of the Quran, and is the foundational prayer for Muslims for praise, guidance, pleas for gratitude. So let's listen to Reverend Summer as she sings this to us.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Rahmanirrahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
How's that? Okay. Buenos dias y bienvenidos. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson on Sunday, June 28, 2026. My name is Helen O'Brien and I'm the worship associate this morning. First, some logistical details. Please be sure your cell phone is turned off or on mute. There are 2 gender-specific restrooms in the front lobby, and in the AV alcove back over here, there is an accessible gender-inclusive restroom. There are more gender-inclusive bathrooms in the social hall across the patio. On Sunday mornings only, this sanctuary, the social hall, our parking lots, and the children's classrooms are considered public spaces. However, we have designated a number of other areas as private. Private offices are labeled with yellow signs that you can see behind you, and entry to those is by invitation only, even for law officers, including ICE agents, unless they have a proper signed judicial warrant. If you need to take advantage of those private spaces, you are hereby invited. The values of our faith call us to take this position in light of the policies of our current administration. On behalf of the congregation, I extend a warm welcome to any visitors, including those watching on live stream. If you are willing, please raise your hand so that we may welcome you. This year at UUCT, we have been thinking a lot about how to help everyone feel welcome here. Keeping that in mind, please join me in this litany by responding to each prompt with, "We welcome you." Whatever your physical or intellectual ability, we welcome you. However you identify your race or ethnicity, we welcome you. Whatever your employment or housing status, we welcome you. However you identify your sexuality or your gender, we welcome you. Whatever your immigration status, we welcome you. Let us also be mindful of those desert people who came first to this place and whose land was stolen in successive acts of displacement and genocide. We honor the Ahatam, the Yaqui, and the Apache. We also remember the Hohokam and other indigenous peoples whose names we no longer know. Finally, this week, I want to highlight one of our UU values, pluralism, which we'll see a lot about this morning. We are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology.
Chalice lighting this morning is being read by Jesus Carrillo. Some of you might know as our fabulous property manager, and Helen.
Días.
Buenos días.
Una llama para iluminar nuestro camino por Debra Burrell. El fuego consume y proyecta una luz brillante que se llama de nuestro cáliz, consuma nuestros lamentos por el pasado, nuestros temores por el futuro y nuestras preocupaciones por el presente. Que nos ilumine un camino de alegría y paz.
And you can recite with me, "Fire consumes and casts a bright light. May our chalice flame consume our regrets for the past, our fears for the future, and our worries about today. May it light for us a path of joy and peace."
I'm used to this being one of the last hymns of the service, but today it's the first one. We're going to do one verse of Lift Every Voice and Sing. It's 149 in the hymnal, and the words will be on the screen. Please stand if you're able. Lift every voice and sing, till earth and
For so many reasons, we set aside this moment together to remember, to honor, and to hold dear the joys and sorrows in our lives and in the lives of others. We symbolize our coming together with our shared bowl. With these large stones, we reach down to the stability and the firmness of the earth, which has witnessed every migration since it coalesced out of stardust. We know that this strength can hold our global pains and joys, our loves and angers. With this water, we remember that this life-giving resource is essential, but not always available. We offer our witness to those migrating at this very moment, especially those moving through our desert without access to water. With the small stones, we will add our own personal celebrations and mournings to our collective bowl. Now it is your turn to contribute. You can go to menti.com and put in the code 3432, 3939, or scan the QR code and tell us in words your joy or sorrow. Please include your name if you want us to know who is sharing. And you can come forward to one of our tables in the front or the back and place a stone in the water to create ripples that will carry your intentions forward. The table in the back is off camera, if for those who prefer that, and it may also be closer to you. Let's feel also the sorrow for all the rights that we've lost and all the lives that have been lost.
On our Menti today, grateful to belong in a congregation that thoughtfully strives to meet diverse needs of all here and also holds events with the larger community according to our UU values. Me too, very grateful for that. Just lost a cousin, may God rest her soul, missing physical church today. We wish you peace in your grief, friend. Feeling light when I am able to move away from comparing myself to others. Yes, comparison is the thief of joy. And joy, because I'm taking my mother's ashes to rest at last to the Dominican Republic, and we will see our family there after many years. Safe travels, and return home to us. So can we have a moment of silence? Moment where you go inside, reflect on what's on your heart and mind today. Just a quick moment. As we move through our week, may we be inspired by the passion for justice and the courage to envision a better world that fills the nameless needs of so many. Many of those who have gone before us, may we remember them and bring them with us. May we too dare to dream and choose to live in freedom. May it be so.
Solve that problem. Thank you, Jody. Please rise as you are willing and able and join with us in singing hymn number 1051, We Are. And if you happen to be following along in the book, we're going to go straight through and not repeat the whole first verse. So. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreaming.
And my freedom will bring your salvation. Perhaps you are familiar with 1001 Nights of Lela Walela, Southwest Asian, North African folk tales compiled in Arabic from the 8th to 14 centuries. Scheherazade, the narrator, in this book and the daughter of the vizier, volunteers to marry the king. See, this king was harmed by his spouse because of infidelity, and so he decided to get revenge by marrying over and over again and killing each spouse at dawn. Scheherazade decided to sacrifice herself, but with a plan she hoped would work. She brought in her sibling to request that Scheherazade tell them a story. Dunyazad complies, and the king, intrigued, agrees. Each night, Scheherazade weaves suspenseful tales of kings, merchants, lovers, and adventurers, but leaves them with a cliffhanger before the dawn breaks. So despite his vow to kill her, the king on the edge of the seat agrees to wait to hear the rest of the story the next evening. Thus, Scheherazade was not killed for 1,001 nights while she told stories filled with themes of justice, restraint, abuse of power, faith, and loyalty. Through storytelling, she helped the king to see that he must change his ways, thereby transforming him from a person who embraced violence and evil ways to one who disavowed that way of being in the world. Scheherazade saved not only herself, but all the people of her land. And my freedom will bring your salvation. Beloveds, we are living in a difficult time. But it is one that our ancestors have experienced before, and they have left us with story after story of such evil thriving within our world. But the story of Scheherazade reminds us that there is hope in the possibility that people who commit evil acts just may transform and set us free, thereby setting themselves free. In the Quran, there is a whole chapter named Al-Fajr, the dawn, which tells stories of how the divine intervenes when people commit evil and unjust acts. It is there to bring us hope, knowing the divine embraces acts of love. Certainly for Scheherazade, telling her stories to the king helped him to witness the love embedded within those stories, experiencing the love and care Scheherazade brought to him in that telling. Surely, surely, surely. Surely. Surely that dawn brought possibility for survival for herself and her people. And my freedom will bring your salvation. Experts tell us that colonialism and imperialism relies on demonizing the indigenous peoples of the land you intend to claim and exploit. It means enslaving the people through economic exploitation. Our indigenous beloveds can tell us about what their people experienced on this land. Many of us hold the collective memories of our ancestors within us. We know in our bodies when a people are being demonized, exploited, tortured, enslaved, ethnically cleansed, or when genocide is directed at them because of their race or religion. It's not complicated. It's in our bones. We have internalized the ancient message, "Thou shalt not kill." And yet, when a government turns itself inward and does the same to its own people, attempting to erase them, deport them, put them into camps, and kill them because of their race or religion or because they resist, we recognize this as fascism. And then we may think perhaps there are exceptions to thou shalt not kill. And we witnessed fascism grow across Europe in the 1930s and 40s and then attempt to spread all over the world. Today, experts tell us we are living in an era where fascism is spreading once again, where it is threatening our democratic principles. But in our bones, some of us know that fascism is not new. Some remind us that the use of eugenics on the black and brown and other marginalized people of this country inspired the Nazis. And history tells us that time after time the people rise up when they are oppressed. Revolution after revolution has caught like a wildfire within countries all over the world. Resistance is always a given. To expect that people will not resist in various forms is to embrace naivete. Humans respond to physical threats. They either fight or flee or surrender. So maybe stories of resistance from our ancestors can help us to make it through to the dawn. Yalla Scheherazade, tell us a story. Daisy was a teenager when she learned how to defend herself physically by joining a Jewish group in Germany that specifically trained young people on defense. One day at her school, a gang of men showed up with clubs and ordered the teens to run past them as they formed two parallel lines, while the teens ran past them and then were beaten. A game to these men, but not to the children. When it was Daisy's turn, she defiantly decided to walk past them slowly, looking at all of them. At the end of the line, one of the men grabbed her hand and started cutting into it with a rusty pocket knife. She fought back by kicking his legs and wrestling with him. She used a trick she learned while studying jiu-jitsu and pushed her head hard into his stomach, twisted the knife out of his hand, and then stabbed him. He lived. But Daisy ran and subsequently fled to England and then America. She relied on others to clothe and feed and protect her. She relied on others to help her make it through. Daisy was the only one of her family members to survive that Holocaust. In Resistors by historian Wolf Gruner, we learn that contrary to the myth that Jewish people did not resist the Nazis individually, there are many such documentations of resistance, and the story of Daisy is just one story in his book. For the Jewish people, resistance was not just planned, orchestrated, and sometimes armed. People just spoke out against Hitler and the anti-Jewish laws that were being enacted over many years, and others went underground and hid or fled to other countries. This, too, is resistance, he tells us. And we know that over time, Nazi ideals spread. And during World War II, when the British occupied Iraq, they put in place a puppet prime minister to make it look like the British were not actually in control of the country. However, this PM was an Iraqi nationalist and wanted to kick the British out of Iraq so they could govern on their own. So what did this prime minister do? He aligned himself with the British enemy, the Germans. In doing so, he positioned himself as pro-Nazi, and soon a small minority of Iraqis joined him. One day, a mob from the south came to Baghdad to attack and kill Iraqi Jews and anyone else who loved them. This happened in my family's neighborhood, and they and their neighbors used clubs to protect and defend themselves. Shortly thereafter, my family hid an Iraqi Jewish family until they could escape and be free. And my freedom will bring your salvation. After the invasion of Iraq in 2003, When America became the new occupiers, they disbanded the Iraqi army, leaving over 800,000 people unemployed. Many of these veterans went underground and formed resistance groups. Once again, Iraq found itself occupied by another country who installed yet another puppet government. The thing about occupation is it defiles the land, the people, the culture. It sets up systems that attempt to kill spirits, souls, and bodies. Over 1 million Iraqis died from that invasion and occupation. Some call this ethnic cleansing, and others call it genocide. Regardless of what you call it, this too is evil personified. And evil breeds more evil. Thus, Iraq saw the presence of Daesh, outsiders who came to Iraq to inflict more harm on the people. It was a terrifying time. One day, family members came home to a note telling them to leave their home, their country, or die. My family made the only choice they knew would make sure they survived, and they fled. And my freedom will bring your salvation. Sabr is the Arabic word for patience and resilience. When I reflect on the embodiment of this word, I think of the many ways that enslaved Africans incorporated their indigenous ways into Christianity as a way to resist and embody resilience. I think of the African Muslims who practice their religion in secret as well. I think about Nat Turner leading enslaved and free blacks to resist captivity. I think of abolitionists, John Brown leading another resistance movement purported to have contributed to the inception of the Civil War. I think of Harriet Tubman escaping captivity, returning again and again to free her people with patience and resilience, knowing that her God wanted her people to be free. I think of the Civil Rights Movement, and Ida B. Wells, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and Ruby Bridges, and all the ancestors that taught us that we must all work toward liberation together. That when we free our oppressors, we shall be free as well. Oh, beloveds, I think of Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank telling us that existence is resistance. They tell their stories, saying, you may try to erase us, but we are still here telling our stories just as indigenous and black voices told their stories, just as people of color told their stories, just as feminists, disabled, and queer communities told their stories. Just as Muslims, immigrants, and Holocaust survivors told their stories, just as all of our ancestors have told us stories of resistance and resilience again and again and again. Stories. They are a powerful tool to transform people. And I have witnessed a transformation so powerful within this world that for me, it can only be the miracle of the divine. Beloveds, never in my lifetime, never did I ever think that the majority of the world would care for Palestinians as much as I have witnessed over these past 3 years. There has been a palpable shift, and that is because Palestinians insisted on telling their stories. MashaAllah. Iranian-American professor of sociology Hajar Yazdiha tells us that memory is a form of resistance. I wonder what memories will the millions of Iranians, Iraniyin, Lebanese, Lebanese, Sudanese, Sudaniyin, and Palestinians, Palestiniyin, what memories will they hold regarding their displacement and attempts at erasure at this time? And beloveds, what stories will they continue to tell us? In a recent video, Bisan from Gaza spoke of their collective memory and the reason they still film and share their stories. Despite 90% of Gazans being displaced and living in tents, despite 60% of Gaza being occupied now, despite over 800 people having been killed since the ceasefire, and despite bombs still dropping, they share their stories. They risk their lives on the streets, and they keep going because existence is resistance. And in this video, Bisan spoke to a third grader named Hussein, who told us that they have no school and must travel far to get water to drink. Bisan asked him if he was scared of the war. He said, "Why? God is with me." Sometimes it's hard to believe that God is present. But the Quran tells us that God is always near and closer than your jugular vein. And I think perhaps God is working on the hearts of everyone, even those who personify evil. On my hardest days, this is difficult to believe. But then I witness the words of a child like Hussein living through hell. And I tell myself, why shouldn't I believe in the power of spirit to transform? And my freedom will bring your salvation. In Islam, it is thought that once you come of age, you know the difference between right and wrong. That is, we all must reckon with our own propensity towards evil. All of us. There are numerous stories of people just going with the majority or being caught up in a mob mentality. The draw towards power can be seductive. We all must reflect on how that plays out in our own lives, how we might harm others when we hold power, how we might keep ourselves from our own liberation. And those who have known colonialism and oppression for generations proclaim that they will birth a revolution again and again, thereby liberating us all. However, we must all learn from revolutionary struggles, like the current one we are witnessing in Sudan, in which 14 million people have been displaced in what has been deemed the largest humanitarian crisis ever witnessed. And people aren't talking about Sudan. And it's, again, power over resources. That's the trope we see over and over again in war after war, leading us to ask ourselves this: what might a revolution look like when it centers more love? Civil rights leader and founder of the Revolutionary Love Project, Valerie Kaur, says this: we can shift if we believe in our own, we can shift culture and consciousness right where we are, only if we believe in our own sweet wisdom, only if we are willing to say, even when our voice trembles, even when our voice trembles, Their children are our children. So, beloveds, I ask you, what does revolutionary love look like for you? Does it look like sheltering and feeding displaced peoples or empowering them to take back their dignity? Does it look like music and dancing or creating art and writing to help us transform spirits? Do you imagine sustainable communities who share resources to help us all combat climate change and stop the destructive forces that war brings to the earth, to the animals, and to the air that we breathe? And my freedom will bring your salvation. Process theology tells us that in the end, love will encompass and overpower even the Hitlers among us. That should bring us more hope. Perhaps that is what is meant by revolutionary love. But I say we cannot wait for the end. That is, theologically, we need to recognize that even they have goodness deep inside of them. We just need to strike the right chord. They need to hear the right note that calls them to their higher self so that liberation happens for all of us right now. No matter how hard that is to do, we must believe. We must believe that love wins. Love wins. Period. That is when we say, all of us, that our liberation is tied up in the liberation of all, we must mean all. Robert Brimlow, in his book, What About Hitler?, reminds us that historically, because of writings such as found in St. Augustine's just war theory, a theory that led to the justification of many crusades against Muslims and Jews, many of the colonizers invaded in the name of Christianity, which laid the groundwork for someone like Hitler and all the other Hitlers to follow. Brimlow says that the colonial and imperial powers were not practicing the Christianity that Jesus preached, which was to forgive and not respond to evil with evil, but respond to it with love. And bell hooks in All About Love reminds us that a perfect love can cast out fear, and that cultures of domination rely on cultivating fear. Hooks says when we choose to love, we choose to move against fear, against alienation and separation. The choice to love is a choice to connect, to find ourselves in the other. And maybe Jesus taught us to search for ourselves in the other. And if he did, then perhaps when we minister to those who are hungry, unsheltered, sick, poor, and imprisoned, we find ourselves. Surely this is the choice to love. And if, as Audre Lorde tells us, we were never meant to survive, then I say we might as well go down fighting like hell in the many forms of resistance we can together, lifting one another up, because love overwhelms and consumes, and a revolutionary love is what we need right now. It's what we need right now. So, beloveds, I believe we must rise up as Scheherazade did for 1,001 nights, We must rise up as my Iraqi family did when they protected their neighbors. We must rise up as the Jewish and other peoples in Nazi Germany. We must rise up as our indigenous and black ancestors did. We must rise up as our queer, disabled, feminist, and all of our ancestors did when facing oppression. We must rise up just as the people of Gaza and Lebanon and Iran and Sudan do every day. We must rise up with each dawn break and ride together, because the dawn brings us possibility and hope. We ride at dawn, showing up for one another, and we go out into the world sharing our stories and freeing those who need to be free, because to do so is to overcome evil with a love so great that it overwhelms and consumes and transforms that evil into goodness. Beloveds, we ride at dawn. We rise up at dawn, again and again, until my freedom and your freedom, and God help us, even their freedom, yes, even theirs, brings all of our salvation.
The offering we take each Sunday is an opportunity to recommit to this place and to these people. It is much a ritual as singing together or lighting our chalice. It is a reminder of that form of love we call generosity. It is how we show that we believe it is important to worship together, to help our community, to say yes to the values of our faith. For those of you here in person, the ushers will soon be passing the collection baskets. For those watching from afar, you can send a check to our church office or give online at uuctucson.org/donate. If you feel moved to make a special donation to Drum, the organization that put together this service that we're watching parts of, it's at druumm.org. 2 U's, 2 M's.
you, Danielle. Give me a moment. Ooh. Never got to try that before. That's neat. Good morning. My name is Robert Schultz. I'm on your board of trustees. My portfolio is Lifespan Faith Development, which includes OWL and religious education. And I want to first invite everyone to social hour after the service in Goddard Hall, which is out the double doors behind you. And there will be coffee, iced tea, lemonade, snacks, and good company. Social hour food and refreshments are free for all, and donations are appreciated to cover our costs. Visitors are encouraged to take one of the red cups just inside Goddard Hall for any beverage, as an opportunity for members to find you and extend a warm welcome. And if you don't want anyone to talk to you, don't grab one. If you're new and want to stay in touch with us, you can fill out a guest information card in the Welcome Center in Goddard Hall or in the foyer. There's also a virtual guest information card in the newcomer section of our website. And I have a few extra announcements. Please bear with me. First of all, from our Finance Committee, thank you for all the ways you contribute to UUCT. Time, talent, and treasure. Our fiscal church year ends on Wednesday. Please fulfill your 25-26 pledge if you haven't done so. Pledges given in July with a designated year in the memo can count towards the end of the fiscal year pledge. Our administrator will get pledge statements out to you as soon as possible. And also, save a date. July 18th, 9 to 10:30 in the morning, we have a John Lewis Day of Action at UUCT. Move On is partnering with UUCT for a food drive and speeches by both Reverend Jamili and our local council member, Miranda Schubert, who's been here before. She's really cool. And details to follow in our newsletter and announcements in next week's services. And yeah, I think that's it. So, without further ado, our last hymn is number 151 in the gray hymnal. Words will be on the screen. You'll catch the tune pretty quick, I think. And please rise if you're willing and able. I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. I wish I could break all these chains holding me. I wish
Our chalice lighting today is by the Reverend Joseph Santos Leon. As we extinguish our chalice, we carry forward the light that has gathered us, the courage to show up, the truths that remind us that witness is welcome, that memory is resistance, that story leads to liberation, that love wins. May we leave this space remembering that the dawn does not arrive all at once. It is made slowly and collectively by people who reckon with evil and seductive draws towards power, by the willingness to keep watch together through the long night, remembering all means all, and by those who ask what revolution might look like when it centers love. Go now and in courage, go now and in compassion, and may we rise up. Ride toward the dawn until it brings all of our salvation. Blessed be.
Paul and Silas, bound in jail, had no money to go their bail. Keep your eyes on that prize. Hold on. Paul and Silas thought they were lost. The dungeon shook and the chains came off. Keep your eyes on that prize. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on that prize. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on that prize. Hold on. Hold on. The only chain that a man can stand is that chain, oh, hand in hand. Keep your eyes on that prize and hold on. Hold on. You know, the one thing we did right was the day we started to fight. Keep your eyes on that prize and hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on that prize and hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on that prize and hold